Hi everyone, it's Louis here from Better Mankind. Today I'm very excited to introduce to you Joanna Kujath. Her background is in health science and pharmacy. She has spent over a decade consulting in the complementary medical field as a naturopathic physician, nutritionist and herbal medicine practitioner. Her work involved teaching other professionals, public speaking and education of the general public regarding implementation of many natural healing methods such as vitamin and mineral therapy, diet and lifestyle modification, and the importance of self-awareness. In the last few years, she integrated her knowledge in this field to include her other passions, which is dogs, and she's also the author of many articles related to all aspects of health and maintaining well-being. Her intention is to help people reach their highest wellness potential by also including her very honest discussion of her own 30-year journey with type 1 diabetes and also her own mother's journey through cancer. She has recently just launched her new YouTube channel entitled Journey Through Wellness, which I think is an excellent name, by the way, where she discusses very informative topics and some controversial matters affecting wellness that may raise a few eyebrows, I'm sure. So welcome, Jo. Thanks very much for being here. And today's topic will primarily focus on alkalizing. So in your opinion, and from all your obviously research and knowledge, what is alkalizing?
Well, alkalizing is all about balance. Basically, we are naturally in an alkaline state when we're healthy. And every time our balance sort of shifts either way, we experience the symptoms of disease. Mm-hmm. And the Western diet and the way we live, what we eat, our environment, everything is focused towards tipping that balance towards acidity. So to me, and in my experience, what I've noticed with myself and with the patients that I managed, people that I've cared for, alkalizing actually made a significant difference to bringing back that balance, and their symptoms either disappeared, were eased, and healing could occur in that environment. It's just about creating the right healing environment for your body.
Mm-hmm. Mm. How would I personally know that I need to alkalize? Like what symptoms would I be getting that would say, well, it's time to be more alkaline rather than more acidic?
I think the first symptom that a lot of people experience is fatigue. So chronic tiredness. I think that's very common, and a lot of people experience that on a daily basis. And fatigue basically means that there could be lots of reasons. There could be mineral deficiencies, stress, which is another contributor to acidifying, and an inability to eliminate, so toxins and waste products. So our body is actually overburdened. And so when we look at the way we live nowadays, people say, well, toxins. I don't want to talk about toxins in a way to overwhelm people, but let's be realistic. We are exposed to toxins in our air, toxins in our water, toxins in our food. And I could talk about that for hours, and I probably will on my channel.
That'll be another video.
Yes, definitely another video. But it's basically about creating awareness, because if we're not aware, we can't take that step towards change and we stay stuck. So my intention is to bring awareness to what people can do to empower themselves, to make a difference in their own lives. So alkalinity is a really simple concept I'm asking people to consider. And that's basically it. But yet fatigue, muscle aches and pains, and also when we look at what are the main illnesses in Western society. Okay, so we got acute illnesses and we got chronic illnesses. So acute illnesses, so if you have an accident, you break a leg, something happens to you, you go to emergency, we've got surgeons, we've got specialists, amazing.
And we really need them too.
Exactly. There are some amazing surgeons, and I'll tell you what, if I ever break a leg, I want to go see a surgeon. I do not want to go see someone that's inappropriate. Exactly. I don't want to see a naturopath if I break my leg.
That's right.
So there's a place for everybody within this wellness industry. But illnesses that are presenting that the world is really struggling with, and people are struggling with in my years of practice, and what I notice through my friends and everybody that I meet, it's the chronic illnesses that we are really struggling with. So when we look at chronic illnesses, is it a strange coincidence that they all fall in the acidifying symptoms?
What are some, give us an example of some major chronic illnesses like?
Okay, so any inflammatory illness can be considered chronic and degenerative. So when your body is in a chronic state of inflammation, you're slowly going to degenerate. So illnesses like arthritis, very prevalent, diabetes, epidemic proportions of diabetes, type 2,
Which
type
you have
1.
much experience yourself.
I've had
because
30
you're a type 1
years with it, so I
diabetic.
have dealt with this chronic condition.
So you've got type
all my
1
life.
diabetes.
Yes.
And you still look as healthy as you do after 30 years. You should be falling apart by now.
Well, strange that you should mention, I actually felt a lot worse 10, 20 years ago. So with the knowledge that I've gained and what I've seen through experience and through people and their journeys and the experiments that I've conducted on my own health, I actually feel better for the choices that I've made.
One thing I notice is, obviously, as you can see, I wear glasses when I have to read. I've known you for a little while now, and you virtually have 20/20 vision. You don't actually wear glasses, and one of the main things that I've noticed with other type 1 diabetics, even after 10, 15 years, their eyesight degenerates very quickly.
Yes.
Your one hasn't gone away. Also, you don't have any foot problems. You actually own a dog walking business now because you used to have your own naturopathic practice and for many, many years. And as we mentioned in the beginning of this, Jo's actually gone into, her love of dogs has taken her into having her own dog walking business, which you've had for the last 5 years or so.
Yes, well, I also created a dog herbal range
And a dog
specifically
herbal range, yes.
to raise awareness about conditions
because
that can be helped.
animals can benefit from alkalizing and herbs just as much as people
Absolutely.
can. So you're constantly walking on a daily basis. I mean, type 1 diabetics normally, their eyesight goes, their feet start to degenerate. Is this due to all your alkalizing? Do you think that has really helped you to be at the stage that you're at, even with 30 years of type 1 diabetes?
Absolutely. I think the reason why I'm so passionate about alkalizing is because diabetes, let alone type 1 diabetes, that is a daily roller coaster. So my sugars will go up, my sugars will go down, my sugars will go up, my sugars will go down. So I am physically aware of how acidic my blood actually becomes when my sugars reach, really high levels.
Because you're constantly testing.
Absolutely. I'm testing 4, 5, 6 times a day. So when my sugars go up, and my sugars can go up to 4 or 5 times the amount within that's over a normal human being's range. So I've got 5 times the amount of sugar than a normal person would. That sugar turns to acidity. So I get symptoms of dehydrations, I get blurry vision, I get headaches, I get the most terrible fatigue and sometimes I struggle to recover from that. And 10, 20 years ago, it would take me days to recover from that sort of acidic rush of all the sugar. And I really wasn't into alkalizing as much, but when I actually got onto the idea, I thought I will really experiment this for myself. And I've had a filter for 6, 7 years now.
This is an alkaline water filter.
An alkaline water filter.
And I just want to say, look, to all the viewers out there, we're not here to sell you a filter. And let me make that point very clear. Not that I'm trying to justify myself, but I used to have a website, bettermankind.com. I actually took the website down because I was getting way too many responses and questions and calls, and I'm not a naturopath, I'm not a practitioner, so I don't think it was right for me to give people advice, unlike yourself. And yes, there was some products on there that I was selling, but it's not like that's my living. I'm a web developer, I'm a web designer, that's what I do for a living. So this is not my living. And that's why when Jo mentions that she's had a filter, and I've had an alkalizer for the last 7, 8 years myself, It's in no way, shape or form to sell you this. We're giving you the information of what these filters have done for us and how they've benefited me, my family, your family, yourself. And it's just bringing awareness, and I really want to make that clear. So, yeah, go ahead.
But you know what, regardless of whether you think you're qualified or not qualified, I think everybody is qualified in their own right to speak from their own experience.
That's exactly right.
So this is all I'm saying. I don't like the idea of creating a dependency on anything, whether it's a herb, whether it's a drug, whether it's a therapy, whether it's alkaline water. That is dependency, and that's not really teaching the other person to become self-aware. So the most powerful thing that you can do is to be self-aware and to know what's right for you and when to stop, when to start again. Self-awareness, nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah.
Everything else is basically causing a dependency. So my passion has always been, you know, I'm here just to guide you, and you have to figure it out for yourself.
Of course.
Yes.
We're all responsible for our own research. I mean, when I had my website up, I did all that research on my own. Of course, knowing you has also helped quite a bit with just verifying that my research is correct. But what works for one person might not actually work for another person.
Absolutely.
Which is another thing that we have to take into consideration here. So you mentioned something before, that you said that stress causes acidity in the body. So does that mean negative thoughts in general, just getting all stressed and worked up? How does that cause acidity in the body? What actually happens? What's the process?
Well, I think there's a misconception where people will say, you know, alkalizing will cure this and alkalizing will cure that. I think it's really important to stress that alkalizing is an adjunct to all sorts of other healing modalities. So you can be alkalizing till the cows come home. If you live in a toxic environment, if you're unhappy in a relationship, if you're miserable in your job, if you're having very resentful, hateful thoughts, your thoughts create your emotions, and that creates a certain biochemistry in your body. So I'll give you an example of when people say, oh, you know, I've got an upset tummy. Why do they use those words? I've got an upset tummy. What upset your tummy? It's your thoughts that you created that caused tension in your stomach. So your stomach had to release more acids, and then you got a stomach ache. And then you might have heartburn, you might have reflux, and you say you've got an upset tummy.
Because not because upset tummy isn't always just because we ate something bad. A lot of times stress causes the ulcers. And
so this is how stress is such a significant contributing factor to all illnesses. Stress makes every illness worse. I know myself, I can survive on salads all day, but if I've had a stressful day, my sugars will still go up. My body will produce excess glucose from its stores.
Wow.
And so I know how I physically feel. Stress is huge.
Is that why you think that, I mean, many people out there will get something like cancer or something like leukemia, or a really degenerative disease that, you know, is pretty much, we know where that's headed. So they take a naturopathic, like, what I mean to say is they basically decide that they're going to go the naturopathic route, and they alkalize. They eat nothing but greens and vegetables, and some go raw vegan. Some do all sorts of different therapies. The Bruce therapy, for example, or the what's the
Gawler, the Gerson.
The Gerson, yeah. Well, there's all these different therapies, and it doesn't work for them.
Yes.
Is that because their emotional state is probably not in the right place, and you know the negative thoughts, because they might be taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back because of their emotional state? Because there's certain people that I've known, they live the ripe old age of, you know, 70, 80, 90 years old, even 100, and they've smoked their whole lives, they've eaten all this bad food. But one thing I notice about these people is the fact that they don't care about anything. They're very, you know, very carefree, and they live life to the fullest. And is that why they don't catch diseases? Do you think, in your opinion?
Possibly, because when you look at, once again, when you look at our natural state of health, it's at 7.35. So
The pH.
The pH of the body. So if you're in a healthy state, ideally your diet should be 70% alkaline, 30% acidic. So we're not saying don't have any acidic stuff. It's about knowing when you tip that scale. So I think living in the moment and not having any anger, resentment, unforgiveness, all those emotions that create that toxic biochemistry, that's going to keep you in an alkaline state, and it's completely different to everybody. Everybody is unique. So you might have, 10 people lined up with the same illness, but you don't know their state of mind. You don't know how hard it is for them to keep that peaceful state of mind.
Yeah.
So, and different people have been through different experiences in their life. And
do you think that's a challenge for a naturopath? Because you are dealing with, the herbs help, the alkalizing helps, but if you can't look after their emotional well-being because you don't know what sort of environment they are in their own homes, that must be very challenging for naturopaths. And that's when people say, well, it didn't work. That they get their back up and say, well, my uncle tried everything, or I tried everything, or my auntie tried everything, but it didn't actually work. So that's what I think personally, that's my personal opinion, that some people put themselves in the right state of mind and they go for it and they get rid of their cancers using these therapies. Is that where the saying comes from, mind, body and spirit then?
Absolutely. I think it's nobody's responsibility to heal anybody. We are all responsible for our own healings. I think there's a lot of people, they're in that mindset that they're so used to going to a doctor, writing out a pill. I feel depressed. They'll give me an antidepressant. There you go. The doctor helped me. The drugs helped me.
Yeah.
What are you doing for yourself to...
They want the quick fix.
Exactly. They want the quick fix.
It's all about the quick fix.
Whereas healing's not going to really occur if you put that power in someone else's lap. We can only guide you. Any therapy, any doctor, any surgeon, any practitioner is only there to guide you because they might be, a couple of steps ahead of the healing journey than you are, and they can speak from their experience and they can guide you. But you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink.
Yeah, that is definitely true. 100%.
Anybody who claims, that this can heal and that can heal, I think it's putting too much pressure on that one ingredient or that one therapy or that one practitioner. It's the whole body, the whole mind. Everything has to be addressed for a healing to occur and for you to get relief of symptoms. I think every illness has a message for everybody. And cancer, and that's another subject altogether, is such a huge multifactorial dis-ease. It's basically, it's a symptom, it's a massive symptom that the body is way out of balance.
So Jo, many people tell me, for example, that when they drink normal tap water or even some bottled water, they're just not thirsty. They don't have any thirst whatsoever, and they go, I can't drink water. So how important is for the water that we are drinking to be hydrating, and how is alkaline water more hydrating than, say, tap water?
Well, acidic water has less of an ability to hold oxygen. So it's really interesting if you would go out there, I always ask people, just go to the supermarket, buy yourself, 4 or 5 different types of water, and in the one go, taste this, compare it, taste that, compare it, and see if you notice a difference. The very acidic waters, they'll taste very sticky and be very difficult to swallow. So people don't get thirsty, or they'll say, I can't drink it. They'll barely get through one glass and they can't drink it. And the reason for that is because they are thirsty for alkaline water. I've never seen a person that I've actually served alkaline water to not be able to drink 1 glass of water, because that water is so hydrating. The reason why it's hydrating is because alkaline water is able to hold much more oxygen. So when you're feeling fatigued and you have a drink of alkaline water, you're actually absorbing more oxygen. The molecules are also smaller, so there's a higher surface area
So under a microscope, I've noticed that normal water, like tap water or bottled water, not all bottled water, but most, I've noticed that the clusters, well, this is, what I've seen. I actually haven't put this under a microscope myself, but the clusters of normal water are much larger. I think it's like 12 to 15 in each cluster, and then the alkaline, and that has all the antioxidants in there, that's oxygenated, I should say, actually has clusters of about anywhere between 5 to 6 or 7, around there. So is that why it penetrates the cells, is what you're saying?
Absolutely, yep. When you pour a glass of alkaline water, you let it sit there for a little while, you can actually see little oxygen bubbles forming on the glass. So that's actually oxygen in there.
So that's what that is.
Absolutely. And hydration is so important because when we look at the human body, when we're born, we're composed of about 90% water. And then as we age, we slowly become dehydrated. So aging is actually a process of dehydration, because when we die, we're down to about 50%.
Oh, really?
So aging is a process of dehydration and fatigue and slowing down. So hydration is extremely important. And research shows that a 5% drop in body fluids will cause a 25 to 30% loss of energy in most cases. So if your body fluids drop 15%, that'll result in death. So hydration is very important, and that's why I said when you asked me the question, what is the most common, most frequent sign of acidity, is fatigue. You're actually dehydrated.
So some people are just barely getting by. I mean, I talk to people and they don't even drink one glass of water a day, but they're constantly tired.
Absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, I had a friend a while back, and they would drink a lot of like Coca-Cola and a lot of fizzy drinks. And they said that when they tried the Evian, they weren't able to stomach it. Is that because they're so acidic that almost like they're so prone to drinking the fizzy stuff and all the sugars and acidic stuff? Yeah,
absolutely. I think you need to gradually start alkalizing. I know, for example, with the alkaline filter, there's 3 levels of alkalizing, and you slowly move up to the higher level, because when you start alkalizing and drinking alkaline water, your body will slowly have a chance to actually start detoxifying, getting rid of excess toxins that are in its fat stores. So people tend to lose weight. So that's another subject on my YouTube channel, that being obese is actually a sign of being over-acidic, because your body will hold on to fat and it'll store acids and toxins in that fat to protect its organs.
What if you have some genetic, your thyroid's not working properly? Is that also a sign of acidity, or is that just a genetic thing? Or are the two sort of,
To me, it's pretty simple. Alkalinity represents balance in the body. If your body is out of balance, whatever you're predisposed to, whatever the weakest part of your body, that will start breaking down, you'll get symptoms.
Okay,
so you are basically creating the right environment for illness.
Okay, so we all have genetic faults somewhere. Like you might have a weaker set of lungs, I might have a weaker heart or whatever. So what you're saying is that when we are over-acidic, the acidity travels to those areas first.
To your area of greatest weakness, and that's where the symptom will present.
That makes sense.
Yes, but another subject altogether is that I don't believe in genetics. Whatever you put your mind to, you will attract and you will manifest. So we're all being manipulated by all sorts of fear-inducing ads, comments, beliefs, conversations through the media that induce in us such a state of fear that we vibrate at that frequency and we attract that.
I mean, at the molecular structure, getting into quantum physics here, we are just energy. We're nothing but energy.
Absolutely.
Who was the doctor that I recently watched something that he actually spoke about the fact that scientists have now figured out that we have the capability just by belief alone to change the nucleus in a cell?
That's Dr. Bruce Lipton.
That's right. So
and
look it up.
He's at the forefront of epigenetics. And he actually talks about the power of belief. So this is why self-awareness and self-empowerment is so important, because if you're not aware what beliefs someone has planted in your head, that's gone into your subconscious, your brain will follow whatever instructions you give it. So
and it
if
can literally change your cells.
Absolutely. If you believe with every fibre of your being that this is in your genes, that everybody's getting the flu, it's such a generalisation. Your body your brain will give your body instructions to make that happen. So why not have affirmations like I am healthy, I am strong, I'm capable, be aware of your beliefs, because every belief is creating your reality.
Okay. Let's talk about you. How has alkalizing and adapting an alkaline lifestyle helped you with your journey with diabetes, with your health, any other health issues? Give us a little bit about your experience.
Like I said, the biggest contributing factor was actually starting on an alkaline diet for me, because diabetes is an acidic condition, clearly. My blood sugar levels will go to 3, 4, 5 times the amount of a normal person. So clearly I have that much sugar travelling in my bloodstream. So I physically know every day what it feels like to be in a severe acidic state. So therefore the concept of alkalizing definitely benefited me. So now if I'm unable to recover from a really high sugar level that I've reached, I will drink more alkaline water to reduce the acids that have been produced from that extra sugar in my bloodstream, and I'm able to recover much quicker. Whereas before it used to take me days to recover, now it takes me literally maybe an hour or two.
And that's just by alkalizing?
Absolutely, absolutely. But the thing is that every day is a challenge for me. Every day is a roller coaster for me. So it's all about balance. Just like alkalizing, I need to be very aware of what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, what's contributing to keep that balance for me.
I wanted to ask you, many people I think might be a little confused, but they're saying that that when we digest food, for example, our stomach lining actually has a lot of acidity to break down the food. Well, if we're constantly drinking alkaline water, isn't this going to affect our ability to break the food down because we need the strong acids in the stomach?
Absolutely. Generally, you shouldn't be drinking water an hour before or an hour after meals.
You shouldn't be, or you should be?
You shouldn't be drinking water. Don't drink water half an hour before your meal. Don't drink water an hour after your meal, because your stomach's doing its job of producing acids to digest that food.
So, Jo, what would you say to someone that, like we had a few comments on the alkaline bottle test. I've eaten meat all my life. I've eaten, junk food all my life, and I'm still feeling great. And there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not sick. So, what would you say to someone like that? Because I'm sure a lot of people are probably thinking that as well.
Yeah, good question. I think what people need to realise is that most serious problems like heart disease, cancer, heart attack, people seem to think that it happens suddenly. Oh, it happened to me. Every illness is gradual in the body, and you get symptoms, and most people are very good at ignoring those symptoms. They're fine. They just suppress it. They take a Panadol. They keep doing what they're doing. So most toxins are also cumulative. So when people say, oh, I've been drinking tap water all my life, are you even aware what's in our tap water? So lead, copper, all these things are cumulative, which means that our body can only take so much of it before it accumulates to such a level where we start getting fatigue, we start getting symptoms, and before you know it, we get a diagnosis of one disease or another. Our body struggles to eliminate a lot of these toxins. So once it gets to a level that it just can no longer eliminate, you've suppressed it, you've denied every symptom that's tried to come to the surface, you will then get sick. So it's very gradual.
So it'll hit them. Sometimes it'll hit them very quickly when it actually starts happening, like a heart attack, for example.
Absolutely.
And they think, everyone thinks, oh, well, there was nothing wrong with him. He was so healthy, everything was fine.
Yeah.
What happened?
Exactly. Apparently it takes up to 10 years for a tumour to manifest, a cancer to manifest, up to 10 years. So somewhere along the way, you know, you were ignoring a slight sign or symptom until it just got to the point where it's no longer bearable and it's causing a dysfunction in your body, and it needs to be addressed. Yeah.
Is it true that we all have cancer cells, but they're just dormant? Is that true?
That's a very good question, because it goes back to health is really... I really love Louis Pasteur's statement, when he said, it's not the pathogen, it's the environment. So we're all full of bacteria, funguses, and all sorts of things are happening and changing all the time.
And some we need as well.
Absolutely. Cancers could be forming, cancers could be healing. It's the environment that we provide to support these processes. So we're either promoting a healing environment, or we're actually providing a more toxic environment, which is supportive to ill health. It's all about balance.
That probably can explain why some people... There's a story of the person that had the little spot on his lung that the doctor found. He actually had a normal doctor, and then later on he had a new doctor, and then they did some scans. He did his normal medical checkup, and they found a little tiny spot on his lungs. And then the doctor said, "Oh, look, it's probably nothing to worry about." Well, he ended up stressing out so much about it that 3-4 months later he actually got lung cancer and died. But when they went back and got his results from 10 years back, the same tiny little spot was seen exactly at the same position. So the stress and the worry and the negative thinking tipped him over the edge, obviously, and filled his body with acidity.
Absolutely.
And would have
created the perfect acidic biochemistry to put those sort of things in motion, where his body will degenerate even further.
So that's how powerful our beliefs can actually be.
Absolutely. And I think we really need to focus on the choices that we're making every day, on perceiving what our body needs. I think getting into arguments about, you know, this doesn't work and this isn't right and that's not scientifically proven, that's really diverting from the message here. We are trying to raise awareness about something that has worked for us, that we have seen help many people. And when we look at the history of all sorts of healing modalities, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's anything else that has really helped people, herbal medicine, oh, that doesn't work until it's scientifically proven. Well, you know what? I'm not going to suffer until science proves that meditation can help me, that an alkaline diet can help me, because in the meantime, I'm suffering and I want relief. And so if I'm going to try this for myself and it works for me and I get relief of symptoms, really, that's enough for me.
Yeah, and without stepping on any toes out there or offending the pharmaceutical industry, we don't want to do that. But the bottom line is this. Obviously, if they're natural therapies and you could do it yourself and someone can't make a lot of money out of it, well, obviously they're not the ones that they're going to try to push and sell, because unfortunately we do live in a monetary system where money does make the world go round. And I'm not saying that the natural side of things don't try to sell their products as well. Absolutely, from both ends of the spectrum. But what you need to, I think, do as a person that wants to improve your health is maybe try it for yourself. Don't knock anything until you've tried it yourself. You know, you can easily make comments on a lot of the videos that, you know, like my video, for example, with the bottled water test. There's some really lovely comments on there, but there's some really abrupt, nasty ones, and they're not going to affect me in any way, because that's your opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But what I feel, what I don't like is when someone hasn't actually tried something and then knocks it. And there have been things that you have tried and that I've tried that haven't worked. Yeah. But that doesn't mean it doesn't work for someone else.
Absolutely.
Because every person is individual in every way. Both in physically, spiritually, and in the way they think.
Absolutely. And I think an important point to make is that I'm not here to discredit anyone's reality. So I sometimes do get a little bit irritated when someone tries to discredit my reality. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm speaking from my personal experience of what has worked for me. That is my reality. Yep. That's what I believe. That's what I experience. I'm just sharing it with you. And also, if you look at the intention behind each message, like the intention that you have, that I have, is to raise awareness.
Yep.
We're not here to suppress, we're not here to manipulate, we're not here to sell anything. We're raising awareness about something that has helped us and helped others.
What are some of the benefits of someone wanting to say they wanted to start an alkaline diet? What kind of benefits can they expect? What sort of changes?
The biggest benefit they can expect is increased energy levels. Because you're drinking alkaline water, you've changed your diet to have more alkaline foods. You will have more ability to utilize oxygen, so therefore you'll have more energy. You'll be able to think more clearly. Healthier teeth and gums, also improved immune function, reduce pain and inflammation. Pain and inflammation is basically acidity localized in that area. Improvement in all chronic degenerative illnesses, and it can slow down the aging process.
Okay, we all want to do that.
Absolutely, because if the cells are subjected to an acidic environment, they can't replicate properly, and the replication also can be impaired, and so this affects speeding up of aging. So if we can have a balance in our body where it's more towards where it's meant to be, which is 7.35, then our body won't age, or it will slow down.
Can we be so rude as to ask your age?
I'm closer to 40, yes.
Okay.
Very close to 40.
All right. We won't, want an exact figure, but that's pretty good. I just turned 43 myself, so, but I do feel incredibly much younger than that physically. I remember myself when I was in my 20s, I constantly remember getting infection upon virus, upon infection. Because my background also, I've been in the music industry, so singing in bands for the last 20 odd years as well, takes its toll on you when you're up there and you're exposed to so many different people. And I remember I used to catch things all the time, consistently. I would have one throat infection after another, and I've been quite good for many years now, but I don't have a 100% alkaline diet, and it's very difficult to do so. I'm probably around the 70-30 split. Do you think that's a good balance for most people?
That's a good balance for most people. If you have some sort of illness where you need more help, well then obviously you need to be drinking more alkaline water. You need to make your diet 90% alkaline, 10% acidic, until you get that balance where you feel fantastic. And that's a good point. And another huge contributing factor when you're in that right balance is that you won't get sick. I haven't had a cold or flu in almost 7 years. And when I feel something is when I get that sign from my body I'm out of balance, or my immune system's run down, or I'm stressed, or I haven't eaten right.
You know what to do.
I know what to do. And it empowers me to know that really it's just about balance. A flu didn't come and get me. A virus isn't going around and it's going to attack me. That is very disempowering information.
So what's actually happening? So you actually create the environment, and a bit like the example of like you have a bin and you got rubbish in there, flies and maggots will come. You take the rubbish out, there's no more flies or maggots.
Absolutely.
So the body is really no different. We create that environment.
Absolutely. You'll heal a lot faster, you'll recover a lot faster. And that's what all we want. We want to feel empowered that we can make some sort of choice in this world where everything is, manipulated through fear. This gives us an empowering message that, hey, we can do something. These are the tools that we can do to contribute to our own well-being.
So every problem does have a solution as far as your thinking is concerned?
It does. It's up to you. Nobody else. No drug, no medication, no doctor, no naturopath. Everyone is just guiding you to find out what's best for you. But we're so busy, so we rush around, we spend our time on things that we think are important, but at the end of the day, if we don't have health, we don't have anything.
We don't have anything. What's your advice to, say, people that would turn around and say, well, look, I have such a busy lifestyle, and sometimes eating the junk food, the fast food, it's easy, it's quick, I have it, I'm on the road, I'm traveling, life is really sometimes very stressful with some of the jobs that we have. What sort of advice would you give to someone like that? How can they improve
Yeah,
their
I
diet?
think it comes back to a level of self-respect. If you've got time to rush around and put everything else before your health, that's your priority. So you need to set your priorities. If you just shift your priorities to, I'm number one, the way I feel is number one to me, I will wake up and make a green juice. I will have my 2-3 liters of alkaline water. I will have a big salad and then maybe some beans or whatever else you can have with it. I'm aware of everything that I put into my body. I'm aware of the thoughts that are happening in my mind. I'm aware of my reactions. That is your priority. I think we're as a society, we're manipulated to believe that we can just keep going. And, we don't deserve to rest, that we don't deserve to eat well, that it's too expensive and we don't have time. Is
it really too expensive?
Nothing is too expensive if you make that your number one priority.
I'm saying if we compare it to a junk food diet, a poor diet, opposed to eating well, that will keep us more alkaline.
Through my personal experience and the way I felt for the first 10, 20 years as a diabetic, nothing is more important to me than being energetic, clear-minded. Nothing is more important. And you cannot put a price on that. I have suffered through this so much that I will not put a price on what that's worth for me. And I think anybody who's suffered enough will come to that very same conclusion. Someone who hasn't really experienced a chronic illness that needs your attention every moment of every day. I have a lot of compassion for people with chronic illnesses, whether it's arthritis, whether it's, heart problems, anything that's constantly reminding you this body needs attention, this body needs attention. That is what illness is. Your body is crying out for attention. You are not putting your health as priority. You're putting everything else as priority.
I mean, let's face it, it's only desperation that really makes us make a change in our lives. Until we're really desperate, that's the only time we take action.
Yes.
But as you always say, prevention is the best medicine. And I totally believe that, because if you can prevent it from ever happening in the first place, then you don't have to ever actually have to go through the suffering.
Yeah. And when you talk to people who do have chronic illnesses, the medications that they're on, the doctor's visits, the specialists, the scans, the tests, if you really knew, if you had the privilege to actually really have an honest conversation, as I have with many, many of my patients over the years, if you see how much money and time and effort and stress that involves, you would realise that what you're investing in right now, while you still have a choice and you're feeling okay, you would realise that you can't put a price on that, and that you still have the freedom to make that choice. Because once you push your body to that extreme, it's very difficult, because you're suffering and you think your choices are limited. So
and obviously when you do get so sick that you can't even function as a normal human being anymore, your career, the money, the mortgage, nothing really matters, because you're not going to be able to do anything about those things anymore anyway. So you might as well look after yourself first, and then everything else comes, in the natural progression of things, comes very easily.
Absolutely. And I also think that the way you live, the way you conduct yourself is a much more louder and powerful message than sometimes even speaking to people. Because I've had experiences with all sorts of healers, practitioners, doctors that I might go for help with in my situation when I was younger. I remember going to a lot of dietitians because, becoming a type 1 diabetic totally out of the blue when you're still a child, you're lost. And so, as I was growing up, I'd go to these dietitians and they didn't look like they were walking their talk. They weren't a representation of their health. And really, we judge people by the way they behave, by the way they look. Do they represent health?
This is
Unfortunately,
true, yes.
that's what we do.
Yeah.
And
it's a bit like going to a dentist and he has no teeth.
Exactly.
Or you go to an optometrist and he's totally blind. I mean,
exactly.
Let's face it.
Exactly.
It's not being superficial, but I think if someone is preaching health, they need to look the part. I mean, you look at someone like David Wolfe, he looks healthy.
Yes.
He doesn't just preach it, he lives it,
Yeah.
And there's no point in talking to people about it if you're not trying yourself to live it. None of us are perfect. We're all going to fall short. We're all going to, dip into the cookie jar every now and again, because we're human, and I think that's also a good thing as well. You shouldn't be so strict that I think it scares people away from trying to be healthy. As you said, it's a balance.
It's a balance.
And you need to ease into things. Don't drop everything and that's it, I'm becoming raw vegan and I'm going to just juice all day long. It doesn't work that way.
It's also unrealistic. I think when people hear about diets, all of a sudden the first thing they hear is you can't have this, you can't have that. So people automatically think, you know, restrictions and they're taking everything away from me. So it's the small tiny steps that we do every day that are most likely to be sustainable long term.
Well, for an example, you don't want to give up meat, you like your steak. Well, instead of having your steak with mashed potatoes, and why not have a steak with a very big salad? So your steak should be this big, your salad should be this big. Then all of a sudden you're getting some nutrients out of having that steak. Apart, you know, opposed to like having all the other, you know, condiments and whatever you're going to have with that steak normally. So I think, you're right. It is balance, and not to scare people away. We need to ease into these things, baby steps.
Yes, and generally when people start asking questions, that's when they're ready to hear the answers.
Absolutely.
So the best example that we can set is the way we live our life, and that speaks volumes. And then people start asking questions, and then they're ready to listen.
Well, Joe, look, I really want to thank you for letting us in your lovely home and, you know, allowing us to do this interview and get, you know, a better perspective on health from a health professional and someone that's, you know, lived it and breathed it. And I think a lot more people might be a little bit more aware of what they need to do in regards to making themselves feel better, I guess. You've got a new channel, YouTube channel starting, and also probably a new website in the next 2-3 months. But the new channel is called
Journey Through Wellness.
Journey Through Wellness, yep. Obviously you'll be having a lot of health-related topics on there, and also you said that you'll be reviewing some products, advising people which sort of products have worked best for your patients and yourself. And
Absolutely. I wanted it to be basically a source where people can go to if they want to compare products. I'd like to educate people when they walk into a health food store, like, why is this spirulina different from this spirulina? Is this vitamin C more appropriate than this vitamin C formulation? Because I know walking into a health food store can be, you know, overwhelming because there's so many products. So I'm really passionate about teaching people how to save money, how to find products that are the most suitable for what they're looking for. I also want to provide people specific information about action steps that they can take regard any condition, any symptom. And I'm very passionate about discussing some controversial matters that definitely have a huge impact on our health. And I will explain why and how people can become aware of that and what changes they can make to help their own journey through wellness.
Excellent. Well, thank you again. It's been a pleasure. And as I said, you can see Jo on her new YouTube channel, Journey Through Wellness. And thanks to everyone for watching. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.
Thanks.